Hey everyone, my name is Ventra and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to talk really quick about the viral story of a Wells Fargo employee who passed away at her cubicle and wasn't discovered until 4 days later. So, I gathered information from several articles about what happened. Mostly all of them basically were saying the same thing. There is really not a lot of information. But what we know so far is that the woman's name is Denise Prudhomme. She's 60 years old and worked on the third floor. She scanned into work on Friday, August 16th at 7 a.m., and her body was discovered on Tuesday, August 20th at 4:55 p.m. A spokesperson for Wells Fargo basically said that it took so long to discover Denise because her cubicle was in an underpopulated part of the building and that employees have the option to work from home or come to the office, which is why there's not a lot of people in the building. They mentioned that they have 24/7 security in the building, but when they were pressed about why the security officers didn't discover Denise, they backtracked and said that they don't patrol between the cubicles. I'm not sure if this was Monday or Tuesday, but employees reported a weird odor coming from the third floor, but thought it was a plumbing issue. But then it was made known that there were people actively working on the third floor when Denise passed away. Yes, there was actually people working on the third floor. An employee stated that the way these offices are set up, somebody had to have walked past her. But as of now, we don't know how she passed away, but they said that there's no foul play, so that she passed away from something else, that nobody harmed her. So I am curious to see more information about that. Now, I know we have a lot of questions, and I would love to hear what you guys think and what questions you also have if I didn't already say it. But before I begin, I just want to say, like, this is this is crazy. Like, it's incredibly jarring. It's sad. Like, everyone has let Denise down by being so incompetent, and I can't even imagine what the family is going through, and also the employees too. Like, I can't imagine finding out that my coworker has been dead at her cubicle for 4 days. Like, that's very haunting. Before I fire off my questions, I just wanted to share Wells Fargo's quote unquote apology, which isn't really an apology because they didn't take accountability at all. But they said, "We are deeply saddened by the loss of our colleague Denise Prudhomme. Our thoughts are with her family and loved ones, and we are in contact." Oh, so now you want to be in contact. "To ensure they are well supported during this difficult time. We are committed to the safety and wellness of our workforce. Counselors are available to support any employees impacted by this event." First of all, there is zero accountability in this message. They didn't even come out and say, this is what we did wrong, this is what we're doing to fix it. Like, there's no acknowledgement to what they've done on their part. Also, why would the family want the company's support? I'm not sure if they mean like financially, as in like the funeral is going to be paid for and compensation for the emotional trauma they went through, or does that mean they're willing to cooperate with the police and the family if they have to be investigated? I'm not sure. They didn't really specify on what they meant. So my immediate question, just like everybody else, is why didn't anyone know where she was at? Like, not the manager, not a coworker, not a security guard, not a janitor, not a single soul knew where she was at. Like, did anyone find it weird that she hasn't been active at work? Like, did any of her coworkers at her in GChat, Slack, or Teams message, whatever they use, and wonder why she hasn't responded? I think it's very strategic of them to not list Denise's job title because I can't find any information about what she does at the moment, which makes me think she has a very active role in the company, and they know that they're really going to be like shit out of luck basically if they reveal how important she was to the company, because they're going to try to scrape everything they can to not take the blame and push it onto someone else. But Anyways, number one person who should know where she's at is the manager or whoever is above her. Like, how do you not know Denise was missing for 2.5 working days? In the article, it says you have to scan yourself in and out of the building, and I'm curious if that's also how you clock in and out too. But did they even notice on Monday that Denise did neither of those things? If they did, then they wouldn't think that it's a weird sign she hasn't reached out to them about calling off work. I mean, I don't know anything about Denise personally, but based on her being 60 and just the generation she grew up in, I highly doubt she would do a no call, no show, especially since she's close to the retirement age. I highly doubt she would just not reach out to her manager and let her know what's going on. But again, this is in fact, that's just my opinion. And honestly, I feel like the manager probably didn't take this seriously because of security, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I feel like there's a possibility they didn't feel like anything was wrong because security would have noticed if something happened to Denise or any of their employees. I know in the article it says employees have the options to work from home or come into the office, and I'm wondering if that includes the managers too. Because if that's the case, then I feel like there should be a system where a manager is in charge of like the work from home team and then another manager who is in person so they can walk the floor and check in on everyone. I mean, I don't know if they do that, but also, I'm not like sure what system they use, but for my job, we have this system where we have to update our status on what we're doing and everyone can see it. Like, for example, if I take my lunch, I have to mark my status at lunch and it shows you how long I've been at lunch and how long I've been back. And my manager could pop in and be like, oh, like, hey, you forgot to change your status from lunch to whatever it is. And I feel like in this instance with like that system, the manager could have easily tracked Denise's status and be like, that's weird, she never logged back in when she went to lunch or took a break or doing phone calls or whatever the case may be. Like, I don't know, again, I don't know if they have that, but that could also help to follow up with their employees. Okay, so where's the cleaning crew? I know there's no information of a cleaning crew, but there's no way they don't have one, especially Wells Fargo. I know for a fact they have a cleaning company. So what happened with that? They didn't vacuum, they didn't dust, they didn't take out the trash or wipe anything down in the past 4 days? That doesn't make any sense to me. And what's the point of having 24/7 security if they can't patrol everything, including the cubicles? Like, I understand that it wouldn't be the best idea to do during the day because it would create like a weird hostile work environment, but why not do it at night? Like, why not patrol the cubicles at night? And I'm wondering if that's because they don't trust their security team to do that because they think that they'll go through people's personal belongings. And that's why they can't patrol the aisles of the cubicles. I'm not sure. But I am curious if security, like the security officers, if they can patrol the parking lot, or just designated areas in the building. Because if Denise has a car, then that should have been firing off alarms for the security team like, hey, someone's car is still here. I'm not sure who it is. Like, let's report it. Like, just simple stuff like that. Like, that is just wild. Like, you could literally break into Wells Fargo. I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying I am. But I'm just saying, like, you could have literally broke into a Wells Fargo and hang out in their cubicle for a couple days and nobody would notice. Like, that's the perfect dream of a Frogger. Why didn't anyone investigate this sewer smell? Like, that is something that is just so dumbfounding to me, is that nobody investigated the smell. Because I'm a curious person. I don't know if you are too. Like, there's been times where I walked into work and people were talking and they're like, hey, there's water on the ground, I think there's a leak somewhere, or there's crumbs on the ground, do you think we have a mouse, or some crazy stuff like that. And you bet that I investigated both of those concerns. Did I have to? No. But I'm just the type of person is that, like, if I'm going to be there for 8 hours, I need this resolved by the end of the day. Like, I'm that annoying coworker that's going to come up to my manager and be like, hey, has this been resolved? What's going on with this? Like, is someone going to come out and fix this? Because I need my peace at work. So if I'm coming into work and someone is like, oh yeah, there's this awful smell, like I know I smell it, what is it, like, oh, I think there's a plumbing issue, I'm still gonna look for where that smell is coming from. That's just who I am. I just can't like take the person's word and be like, oh, okay, it's plumbing. Like, no, I need to see for myself like where that's coming from. And it's the fact that nobody investigated the smell and they just chopped it up to be plumbing. Like, did anyone put in a ticket? Did anyone notify their manager? Like, did they really just work 2 days straight smelling that and did nothing? Like, everyone accepted the fact that it was a plumbing issue, but nobody checked to see if that's what it actually was. Also, how was there people working on the third floor, but none of them walked by Denise or noticed a stench coming from that direction? An employee literally said it themselves that somebody had to have walked past her. Like, I need to see a blueprint or the layout of where Denise was sitting because it's not making sense. And I know they're not going to upload a picture of her cubicle, and I'm not asking for that, but at least give us something that we can understand. Because saying that it's underpopulated does not mean it's deserted, or else they would have definitely came out immediately and say Denise is the only one who works on the third floor. But I need to know numbers, like how many people were working on the third floor on Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. Because in my head, initially when I heard about this, I was thinking of her desk being in a storage unit, which I have seen I've seen it done numerous times at previous jobs where like the company has expanded and someone turns an old storage closet into their office. So it's not completely out of the norm, but that's what I thought initially, that she just had her own, corner tucked away from everybody. But now that I know there were people working on the same floor as her, I'm just curious as to who they are, like who was all there, and are they also being investigated? I mean, everyone involved needs to be investigated, and I really hope they're doing an investigation. Obviously, I feel like they will because everyone basically knows about this, and well, I'm not saying everybody, but this has become viral on like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, of people just being like, how in the world does that happen? And some people were even making jokes like, hey, this proves the point of we all should just work from home because nobody cares, where we're at or if we're okay, so we might as well be home, which makes sense, but is also really sad when you think about it. Like, the company doesn't really care about your well-being. And yeah, I just feel like everyone needs to be investigated because I feel like that would bring a lot of peace to the family and anyone else who is emotionally involved. Oh, I would also like to make a note that a lot of people are angry at the family, which I understand, but, I know this sounds mean, but her family is not obligated to talk to her. But Wells Fargo is. That's the problem. We need to direct our anger towards the company because this is very alarming. How common this has become in America, where you could potentially pass away at your job and the company doesn't even notice or give an F. Like I said earlier, that's why I'm tired of my generation being called lazy for not wanting to work. But it's like, who wants to work with these companies that don't even know you died at work and are probably actively trying to replace you in that same week anyways? Like, let's be honest, they're probably looking for somebody else to take her spot, which is really disgusting to even think about because this just happened. But they didn't even take accountability as to what has happened. So for the little information we have, it just feels like a giant game of hot potato. They're just trying to pass the blame onto someone else or something else so they don't have to hold accountability. Like, this is just pure laziness on everyone's part, and this could have been easily resolved in a different way. And I'm not saying they could have prevented her death, but this could have been handled a lot better. So I want to know what you guys think. Like, what do you think about everything? And what other questions do you have that you wish you had answers to? So please let me know in the comment section below. Subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you later.